Hey Josh, I was checking out Tasha's Cauldron of Everything and I came across a really cool third level spell. Only takes a bonus action, and then when you hit a creature with an attack, you deal an extra d8 of damage.
That a third level spell?
Yeah,
Isn't that's kind of like Hunter's Mark almost, except Hunter's Mark is first level.
huh. That's a pretty good point. Maybe we should talk about that.
Welcome back to JNJtabletop.
Whoa, Josh. We should be welcoming you back to JNJtabletop.
Yeah, that's fair. I did just finish up a move, so I've been gone for a couple weeks, and that actually kind of ties into why we're doing this video, right? Recently, we had our friend Lee from This Crits come on, and he's awesome. Sometimes misguided. We'll talk about that. He did this video with you on third level spells, and one of the options that he chose, I just don't agree with at all. He picked Spirit Shroud as something that he likes. And man, I just disagree big time. So we figured, let's make a video about it. Let's talk about what we don't like about it. Talk about what we do like about it. Maybe we could have a little conversation about whether it's actually worth that third level spot or not.
I think that's a good idea. And Lee, if you're watching this, just know this is personal. But still, thank you for filling in for Josh.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
it actually is
you.
it actually is in good nature and good fun. But we do want to talk about this.
So just Jake, right off the bat, before we talk
Yeah.
about like other options that may or may not be better or preferred, what is Spirit Shroud? What does it do?
Yeah, so Spirit Shroud, it's a level 3 necromancy spell. Like we said before, it's a bonus action. It's a concentration spell that lasts for a minute, and the flavor of it is you call forth spirits of the dead, which flit around you for the spell's duration. The spirits are intangible and invulnerable. And basically, the way it works is until the spell ends, any attack you make deals an extra d8 of damage when you hit a creature within 10 feet of you with an attack. That damage can be radiant, necrotic, or cold, which you have to choose up front when you cast the spell, so you can't do like cold one time and then necrotic another. And then any creature that takes this damage can't regain hit points until the start of your next turn. And then also, any creature that starts its turn within 10 feet of you actually has its speed reduced by 10 feet until the start of your next turn. And then the other thing about it is you actually can upcast Spirit Shroud, where for every 2 levels above third, you get an extra d8 of damage. So if you did level 5 spell slot, you would have 2d8 damage. A level 7 spell slot, you'd deal 3d8 damage. So I think on the surface, there's a lot of things here that are good to like, but I think Josh, in the intro, you nailed it. I mean, when you compare it to Hunter's Mark and or Hex, and that's a level 1 spell slot, I mean, there seems like there's more bang for your buck there, doesn't there?
Yeah, I mean that's kind of where I'm at. When you could get something for a first level spell that does something so similar and in a lot of ways better, is it really worth that third level spell? I think you mentioned it before, like that's a pretty big opportunity cost for other third level options. But just comparing Spirit Shroud with Hunter's Mark or Hex, they're both concentration. It's a D8 versus a D6, so that is something, right?
Yeah,
But
that's something. I mean, I think some of the playtest material with 1D&D would have you think that the flex option is really in play here, where you just move that D6 to a D8, and it's the most powerful one out there. And that is a direct quote.
oh, jeez.
It's just
Well, that's a thing. As far as duration, Hunter's Mark and Hex, they're both going to last for an entire hour, whereas Spirit Shroud, it lasts 1 minute, and most people are going to tell you a minute it's just not long enough.
yes, they will, Josh.
And then as far as like range, the extra damage that you do with Spirit Shroud, that target has to be within 10 feet of you. There's no such limitation with Hunter's Mark and Hex. They could be 30 feet, they'd be 40 feet, they could be farther away, and you could still do that damage. That's pretty significant. I think it just comes down to the question of, are those other benefits that you get from Spirit Shroud, are they enough to make it worth a third level slot as opposed to a first level slot?
Yeah, I think, damaging a creature and then they lose their ability to regain hit points until your next turn. I think that's nice. I'm not sure that by itself warrants the two extra levels in the spell slot, but that's at least something. But the one that I think gets emphasized a lot is the movement reduction. And I think that's worth looking into because I can't help but wonder, like, how often are you going to find it a situation where it actually matters, right? So it's not like it's difficult terrain, which I think that would even alone just be a little simpler and make more sense to me. But any creature that starts its turn within 10 feet of you has its speed reduced by 10 feet. So it's kind of weird because if I start my turn within 10 feet of you, I will probably just take one step forward or 5 feet forward and we're probably fighting melee. I don't know. I'm really having trouble wrapping my head around this mattering.
Yeah, I'm kind of right there with you on that. If it was like just creatures that you attack and then they lose that 10 feet of movement, then maybe it matters a little bit more, even if it's just
Oh
the
yeah.
first creature that you attack and it doesn't stack, because then you could like run away and now they have to chase after you and they have less movement. But the fact that it's just creatures within 10 feet lose 10 feet, it's very, very, very situational. I can imagine the situation where like, well, how about this in one of our, I believe it was our first what went wrong video where we talked about that critical role fight, they thought Laura needed to get away. So in an instance like that, where they think that somebody is going to be chased after, like, yeah, that could help, but I feel like you're almost better off with just a cantrip, like
Oh,
whatever
Ray
the
of
cold one
Frost.
is, Ray of
Yeah.
Frost. Yeah, Ray of Frost,
The
like.
cold one. Yeah. I think you bring up a good point. I mean, it could pair nicely with some other feats out there, like Polar Master and Sentinel might lock someone in that zone for you, or it is going to help you chase after someone. I guess that would be the place this would work, right? You're pursuing someone. They use their action to disengage, they run away, but you probably still would catch up because for the most part, everybody has a speed of 30 feet. So, I don't know. It just seems weird.
Even in the instance where somebody's running away, it's like if you're within 10 feet of them, then it doesn't. How helpful is this? I don't know. I have a really hard time trying to make excuses for, for this speed reduction. And I love speed reduction abilities. I
Oh
just
yeah, we
don't
love
think this is a
movement.
good one.
And then the other difference we talked about is upcasting it can actually up the damage that you deal. This will go, oh, maybe you have my attention, but it's not like a level 4 slot makes it 2d8. You have to go every 2. So now you're just upping the cost that much more for even what I would consider less gain. And this is where opportunity costs, like we mentioned, like a level 4 slot could be a polymorph, a level 5 slot could be a cone of cold. Like you start looking at some of these other, if you this is on the paladin list, you can just smite them with it. Like just deal all those extra damage up front. Clean, done. And if you're a vengeance paladin, you can still concentrate on Hunter's Mark anyways. So here you go. I don't know. I'm struggling with this one. I feel like you get a lot more bang for your buck with Hunter's Mark or Hex.
Yeah, I totally agree. And talking about fifth level spells and smites, you could potentially banish someone with the smite
Ooh,
with the
yeah.
fifth level spell, and you would deal 5d10 damage instead of 2d8. So I don't know. It seems like it's asking for a lot and really not delivering. For me personally, I would rather, if I'm looking for just that like extra damage dealing, I'm probably going to use a hunter's mark, or if I have access to it, maybe a hex. If I need something that's going to limit movement, maybe a plant growth, maybe a spike growth. In my opinion, I think that's going to help your economy with your spell slots and everything a whole lot better than Spirit Shroud. But what do I know? I don't play casters.
Fair enough, but I figured this would be the one caster video we might be able to get you with because you love Rangers and Hunter's Mark.
Yeah.
But if you like Spirit Shroud, I genuinely want to hear the situations in which you believe it shines. And yes, Lee, that includes you. And I know this might seem like we're just attacking you, but really, I'm just not seeing it. Because even the extras with Hunter's Mark and Hex, even though they're also kind of niche, they feel more useful when it comes up, right? Like tracking things and, maybe, ability check disadvantage stuff. Like that just seems like it's a more clean exchange. So let us know what you think about that in the comment section, and let us know if there's any other spells that you'd like us to compare or features, and maybe we could make that video next. So don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, and give a friend a high five. Does that sound good, Josh?
Yeah, that sounds good. Also, if you could comment smelly, like I don't know however you want to spell it,
That's how
but
we know you made it to the end.
smelly. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh boy.